survival game genre is rather boring, or the correct way to say it is actually rather bland. Most of the survival games really do not have end goals, or actually do not incentivize players to work towards end goals. Like, how many people have you seen that actually completed games like Ark or Rust or 7 Days to Die? Most people are playing just for the experience of playing without having actual goals. And it's very rare to have a survival games that actually have this end goal and where people are trying to achieve it and having a blast with it. And first big survival game that actually achieved it was Subnautica. And since then, a lot of games tried to replicate this, and absolute majority of them have failed, but only very few succeeded. And one of such games was a Planet Crafter. And no, I'm not saying that Planet Crafter is like Subnautica, but it has a lot of elements from it, but it also has a lot of unique things, making it an absolutely amazing game, granting it one of the rarest, overwhelmingly positive ratings on Steam. And yes, it managed to achieve it throughout its early access cycle and even through its full launch in 1.0 in 2024. But how did it do it, and how Planet Crafter managed to crack survival game genre? And the answer is pacing. You see, survival games are quite simplistic. You have some very basic goal to achieve, you're progressing through different tech, you're progressing through different materials, and you are doing this at your own pace. If you want to do it faster, you can do it faster. If you want to do it slower, you will do it slower. But in Planet Crafter, you don't really have that choice. At least that's what you will think, because Planet Crafter has a goal where you work towards throughout an entire game. Unlike games like Ark or Valheim, where you actually try to become stronger and stronger in order to go and fight the boss, here, every single thing that you do, every single smallest thing that you do is getting you closer to an end goal. And in this case, it is actually to terraform the world around you. Yes, the goal of the Planet Crafter is actually to terraform the world around you, because when you land there, it's absolutely barren and there is almost nothing on it. The sky is gray, everything is deserted, there's a lot of ice chunks, everything is covered in dust, and your goal is to convert it into a living, breathing planet. And at first glance, it feels kind of like an impossible. And when you start the game, the first 30 minutes to an hour, you will feel like this will be absolutely the most boring grind fest that you will ever do. And it really does feel that way. You land on a planet and all you see around you is just scattered resources. That's literally what you see. And you are given some basic goals to craft some basic things, run around very quickly because you have a limited oxygen supply, and get these materials and then craft some things. I'm not gonna lie, when I played this at first in early access, first 30 minutes I thought that this will be an absolute worst game that I've ever played. It does not look great, it doesn't play great, it did not look great, it didn't play great, the interface was absolutely awful, and to be fair, to this day it's kinda same. But when you go through this first 30 minutes to an hour, you will understand what you're doing. When you put your first drills, when you put your first heaters, when you plant your first plants to get an oxygen, you will start seeing the numbers going up. The terraforming index. That's basically a number showing you how terraformed the planet is. And the higher this index is, the more planet will start to change. And this ticking numbers that you always have on the right top side of the screen kinda like triggers and tickles this part of the brain that works really good in an idle and auto-clicker games. You just want this number to go faster. And you start scavenging around, getting better resources, building better stuff, and you will start quickly unlocking more and more and more new tech until you will hit your first ceiling where you don't have some rare resources that you need for the progressions, and then you start going further away from the base, seeing that there are a lot more things around you than you expected. There are crash ships, there are unique environments, there are caves, there are mountaintops, there are frozen cave entrances, and you will quickly understand that this game has far more things that you ever thought. And all these are giving to you slow enough for you to understand it, but also fast enough to not get you bored. And as you also unlock your means to quicker transportation, teleportation, ore miners and things like that, you will understand that this game is just giving you everything slowly but very methodically. And things like that are not very frequent. Things like that usually take a lot of time to unlock in most of the games. And usually you don't really know what to do next. But in Planet Crafter, you do perfectly well. As you increase your terraforming index, you are unlocking new blueprints, and you just start working to build these new blueprints to see what they do, or just to increase this terraforming index, or just to terraform the planet a bit faster. And when you unlock new tech, allowing you to terraform planet even faster, then unlock the new things, etc, etc, etc. Everything builds one upon another. And you will not even realize how the skies of a planet quickly turn into blue, giving you far more pleasant look. But you will quickly realize that suddenly, out of nowhere, rains will start pouring on a planet, which will in turn create lakes on a planet, and then those things will create life on those ponds, then create amphibians, then it will cover everything with grass and and vegetation until you realize that this planet is now fully terraformed. And things like that, giving you the feeling that you actually achieved this yourself. That every single step you took, every single resource that you mined went towards all this that you see around you. Game mode is also not creating a huge time stops for you. Like for example, energy-wise, you don't really need to connect everything to the grid. That will take a lot of time and planning for you and just make everything look ugly. You can just put down some solar generators and it will power up everything on a planet. Or you can spread your smaller bases all around the place just to have some places to get oxygen and just put the heaters all around it, or just plant some seeds all around it and just generate oxygen and heat for an entire planet. Also, one more thing that I totally missed, this game is actually fully playable on a handheld, and officially it is actually Steam Deck verified. However, there are some issues here that I want to really quickly touch. First things first, on the Lenovo Legion Go, it can actually easily run on the high graphics, actually on very high, even ultra graphics at 1200p resolution, basically a full 1080p resolution. But the issue is that it runs a bit slower, and in the late game it will actually have some issues. But if you're gonna drop the resolution a little bit, it has some drawing distance issue. Right now, I don't know if you can see, but you can actually see quite far the resources. But if you drop the graphics a little bit, you're gonna just stop seeing everything altogether. If you're gonna go in medium and we're gonna apply changes, get back, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it will have some severe pop-in, which is not really good. Even though the frame rate is actually very smooth, it has a very easy 60 FPS, the pop-in is not that good, and only way to actually really comfortable play this on very high or even ultra resolutions. And thankfully, this thing can run on Legion Go pretty well, not even on full 30-watt TDP. If I would go to switch and switch it to 30-watt TDP, let's see if we're gonna get a little bit better experience. And yeah, it's actually a little bit smoother, but at 30-watt TDP you are not gonna get a lot of gameplay. So yeah, if you are interested in whether this is actually playable in a handheld or not, well, it's actually officially Steam Deck verified. And if you have something a little bit more powerful like Legion Go, well, you can easily play this without any issues and hitches. And paired with a unique and different environments that will require different things to do in order to unlock them, makes this game unbelievably and incredibly fun to play. And again, one of the rare experiences where a survival game has goals all over its playthrough, and it will take you around 40 hours if you're gonna go do everything quickly, and it can take up to even 100 hours if you're gonna take your time and explore everything methodically and quite slowly to basically terraform this entire planet. And with different means of transportation, teleportation, it's not boring and time consuming, and if it is, most likely game will give you something to make it less time consuming and less boring. And because of all this, Planet Crafter is the game that everyone who loves survival games, or even does not love like survival games and just want to play the game where they can achieve things their own way, but this game must be played by all of those people. And yeah, did I tell you that this game actually has a multiplayer? Yes, you can play this game with up to 10 friends, making this game even more fun. And for the full price of 24 bucks, this is an absolute must-have, especially if you're gonna find it on a sale. And if you're interested in my original review of a Planet Crafter when it was in early access, you can actually watch it right here. And if you like survival games and want to have the list of 27 best survival games, you can watch it right here as well. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe right here, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care.